Hello everyone, welcome to For His Namesake. We're glad that you're here. I'm Martina and this is my daughter Valentine. And we thought we'd talk about what's been going on here in Texas, specifically Central Texas in the Kerrville area, or Hunt, Texas, the Guadalupe River, all the rains they've had and the flooding, and just a devastating situation there. And we know that there's a lot of YouTube channels talking about that, and they're doing live shows about it, but we didn't get to do live tonight, so we apologize. We're just going to do a talk about it, and just the where, what, why, I mean, the questions that go through people's minds when something like that happens. And before we get started in that, we'd like to say, if you're watching and you have a family member that you've lost or been in that situation, our condolences go out to you. Our condolences go out regardless, even if there's someone here that's not watching that doesn't have family there. Our greatest sympathies go out to all those family members who lost loved ones, and not just from the Camp Mystic, from the girls' camp, but as it turns out, there were quite a few people just vacationing for the Independence holiday. People in Airbnbs, people that were staying at an RV park there that was washed away, and several other camps were up and down the river there as well. So,
and not just Kerrville County, but other counties as well, including where the capital,
right?
That county, I think it's called Travis County or something like that.
Yes, right.
And some of them are kind of close to home. They mentioned Burnett, Texas. My old high school used to play football with them. So
right, yeah. So yeah, in San Angelo, I mean, there's been a lot of flooding around Texas. We've had some here in our city, not as bad, just kind of low-lying areas, but nothing really to write home about. But still, yeah. So all our hearts go out to everybody. Just your house has been ruined, your car washed away, you've lost a loved one,
or they're missing,
still missing. That's got to be just awful. I don't see how those people are getting any sleep whatsoever. So it's just truly heartbreaking, and our sympathies and condolences go out to all of those families, and to all the workers out there, all the what do you call those, emergency workers, and even volunteers. I was surprised how many volunteers, just individual volunteers. Kudos to you. Hats off to you. I mean, I think that's wonderful when someone can just do that. I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could handle seeing a dead body somewhere. I just couldn't do it. I'd probably faint on the spot. So I think that's fantastic that there's people out there that are willing to go and just dig and find, so to speak. So hats off to y'all, whoever's volunteering out there as well. Or if you're a nurse, or you're a medical person of some sort, and you're out there helping people, that is great. So yeah, I've been talking a lot. Did you? We've already done this before, and I did all the talking, and Valentine said I didn't get to talk at all. So
no, it wasn't just because of that. It was because I'm getting over a dry, weird cough, kind of like allergies. So that's another reason. But
still, I think you wanted to share some things.
Well, eventually, I'll get to that in a minute. I'm just going to say, it's kind of a weird feeling when something takes place that's catastrophic in your own state. Maybe y'all can relate. Of course, we sympathize with any state that goes through hardships, natural disasters, but it's just more personal when it's your own. And we're native Texans. I was born and raised in Texas, so even though, I don't like Texas summers at all, never will. And yes, I don't like this city in Texas that we're in, but I love Texas. I love my home state. And so when something damages even the land, and it's beautiful down hill country, very beautiful. So to know that it looks like a hurricane just went through there, like Hurricane Helene last year. That's how bad it looks. Now, so the land's been ruined, and then people's lives have been turned upside down. So it is more personal when it's your own state. And I just randomly looked at like the weather when July 4th happened. It was raining here too. It was pouring raining cats and dogs, and I just never thought that something taking place right at that moment was going on.
Right, yeah. And speaking of that, you know, we've had a chance to, I don't do the news. I think I've shared that before. I don't like to look at the news because it's usually bad. And so I usually have Valentine tell me something that I need to know for my own safety or our safety or something I just really need to know. Then she'll tell me. But other than that, I don't really like to look at the news. But, you know, with YouTube, it's kind of hard not to watch a movie or something and then along the side of the, you know, and I have to remember, I'm sorry, we keep looking at the screen in front of us, and we have to remind ourselves that the camera is actually to the left of the screen. So we apologize if we've been staring at something else the whole time. So now I'm going to look at you directly while I'm talking. But yeah, it's kind of hard to be on YouTube watching a movie or whatever you're watching, and then on the side of your screen, there's all kinds of news, because that's the headlines now. That's one of the headlines, is this catastrophe, catastrophe that happened in Central Texas on July 4th, Independence holiday weekend. So yeah, so that was the only reason I even knew about any of this. And then of course I was very intrigued because I thought, wow, I mean, I've been to Kerrville. My husband and I celebrated our kind of like a second honeymoon, so to speak, in Kerrville at a bed and breakfast back in the day. Now it's called Airbnb. But yeah, and my parents had some land out there. I don't know if they still do. So I'm very familiar with that area. So that's kind of close to home, you know, mentally speaking. But yeah, so, you know, when I heard about all that, I just thought, wow, yikes. So I've been keeping track, and I've been going through different, you know, there's so many different, what do you call those news stations? There's NBC News, and then there's, what's the other one? I'm trying to think, Fox News. I mean, there's so many different to choose from, and, you know, they all have different ways of doing it. But one of them was you know, there's different stories that are coming out now. More people are coming out and sharing their story of how they were clinging to a tree, or they saved a family, or they were one of the ones that was rescued, and that kind of thing. And that's all been very interesting to learn about, because I love anything about a survival story. Of course, those are fascinating, how they survive such a thing. Of course, all of this is, you know, God is the one that has someone make it or not make it. We can't say, oh, I'm gonna make myself live through this, or I'm gonna survive. I mean, I'm sure there's people that have that mindset, but ultimately God is the one that has someone survive or has someone not survive. So anyway, this one guy was sharing how he had a family. His wife and children were asleep, because of course this happened in the wee hours of the morning. How most storms and hurricanes and tornadoes and things like that, they kind of come unexpectedly, usually in the middle of the night when people are sleeping. That seems to be the case, at least the ones I've learned about. But this man was staying up late. He was outside on the porch, and he was just kind of watching the rain and watching the river get a little higher and more full and more raging. And he just was watching for his family. He was protecting his family, basically. And finally, he just woke them all up and said, we've got to get out of here right now. And he was keeping watch. And it reminded me of this beautiful Bible passage in Matthew chapter 24. I'm going to read it to you, verses 42 through 44. Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour your Lord is coming. But I know this, that if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not allowed his house to be broken into. Therefore you also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. So that just made me think of that. That man was watching, keeping watch for his household, so that they would not drown and be, you know, taken away. And this is talking of course about being ready for the Lord. We need to be ready, you know. I mean, we need to keep watch. Don't go about being lazy and doing our own thing and thinking everything's fine. We need to be ready. So yeah, so this one is talking about he was watching for the thief, that, you know, not coming into the night. Well, in this case, I would think of it as the raging waters coming to take over, and he was watching for that. And so his family was saved from that. They're all okay. A family of 4, husband and wife and kids. That's amazing. Yeah. So what were you gonna, I think you had something to share too about
but first,
scripture.
I'm sorry guys, there's this There we go.
I didn't
I was
even
about to
notice.
say, I hope they could see.
I didn't even
There
notice
you go.
that. Yeah.
Oh, spilled some water on you. So sorry.
That's
I put
okay.
my lid on.
Yeah.
I was looking at Bible verses and I came across this one. It's kind of a well-known one for comfort. And it's interesting the word play that's used. So I'm going to read you Psalm 46, verses 1 through 3. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, even though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though its waters roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with its swelling. And I know it's talking about the sea, but in that day, the Guadalupe River acted like a ferocious sea, like a tsunami. I saw a video that someone got, and it looked like a real tsunami coming towards you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember you showed me that video. That was scary.
Fast paced like that, and the force of that water is so strong. It's terrible what it can do, but it does say that God is our very present help in that, and we don't need to fear. Now, I think he's talking more about in a spiritual sense.
Yeah, because I'm sure that would be frightening. I was thinking about people that were, really clinging on to things, like that lady that was 20 miles down the river and was clinging for dear life to a tree. She must have been terrified, thinking, is anyone going to come and help me? Is anyone going to see me this many miles down the river? Because people were probably just looking in that one area. And I kept telling my husband, I said, I think they need to go further down. What if there's people way down the river? They've, somehow the currents brought them way down there and they're still okay, or they've been hanging on to something, maybe a log, or who knows what they've been hanging on to. Refrigerators, we were told there were all kinds of things floating down the river. And so I was just thinking, maybe some of the volunteers and all those emergency people need to go further down the river to see, and I'm sure that's what they're going to do over the next few days, if not already. But yeah, I was asking my husband a few days ago, or just yesterday, I said, now if someone's a really good swimmer, surely they can make it. They could just, they always say don't fight the current. Like when you're in the ocean, I've been told, don't fight the current, just let the current take you, just go along with the currents. Because if you fight it, you're not going to win. The currents are going to take over and pull you under and all that stuff. So I'm just thinking, in a river like that, I was asking my husband, surely if someone's a good swimmer, they can, they don't even really need to swim, just kind of go along with the river. And he was saying, no, that's a raging river. That's like a rapid river at that point. It's very forceful. No one could even try to save themselves, so to speak, in such a situation, because it's just so forceful. And so I was just thinking, wow, because I'm a good swimmer, so if I was in a situation like that, I think that I could kind of, swim along or keep my head above the water. But when it's raging like that, and then
objects and
and then crashing into refrigerators and cars that have been swept away, and houses, and oh my goodness. And then I heard that one lady, I don't know if it was that you told me that, where she was, maybe it was the one that was clung to the tree. She had to go over a couple of dams.
I read about that. I heard about that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I've seen dams. Those are eerie and steep. I mean, you're going up and then you're going down.
Like a waterfall.
Yes. And then the water's coming over. You just know it is. It's coming right over you again the moment you go down again. But she made it by the grace of God.
And only a few cuts and bruises, but no serious injuries. So that's an act of God right there.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this topic was mainly going to be about, first I was thinking like catastrophes, like where is God in catastrophes? I'm sure that people are asking, why God, and how did this happen, and is this an attention getter, or is this part of the end times? Because we've read about that in I read about it somewhere in Luke, where it talks about there will be famines, there will be pestilence. I had to ask Valentine what pestilence is. That's illness. I guess it's really bad illness. It's like really bad.
COVID was.
Right. Yes. There will be earthquakes. That's all part of the end times. So I'm just wondering, is this another form of the end times? And then I was we're subscribed to some people that are from northern India in Nagaland, and they had really bad flooding. I mean, they had some footage showing there in their videos where people were walking, the water was almost up to their waist in a street. Oh my goodness. And then there's been other flooding in other places, and just interesting weather.
Oh,
you know,
Spain several months ago went through terrible flooding too. I just remembered that. A lot of floods.
Yes. And then the United Arab Emiratis, of all places, I mean, sunshine country that you could ever imagine. There's never any bad weather there. And I think it was last year, I want to say it was last year or the year before that, where they had that strange flooding. The whole place was flooded. And people were just like, what is this? You know, that was one of those, you know, you wonder, is that part of the end times coming, or is God trying to get people's attention? Or we're one of those we're a family, we don't believe in the devil bringing weather, like bad weather. That God made the weather, and he's in control of. That's what we believe. We believe in that God controls the weather. Yes, we can think of it in a scientific matter. People can, you know, go into scientific reasons why an earthquake would happen, or why, you know, a certain storm would come, and that kind of thing. And that may be true, but overall, we still believe that God is sovereign and he's in charge of the weather overall.
And I know that I know that some subscribers are going to think, well, what about the book of Job? You know, it says that Job is the one who caused that whirlwind to fall on the house. Well, he couldn't do that without God's permission.
Yes, yeah, that would be the only time that the devil would do that. Something like this is with God's permission and God's giving him the ability to do it in the first place. I refuse to give the devil that much credit. He just, to me, he's just not that powerful. I just refuse. That's just me. But then, you know, we ask ourselves, why did that happen? Was that part of end times, or was it God's way of getting people's attention? You know, here I am, worship me. And it is, as in Camp Mystic, which is the girls' camp there, which has 750 girls. I went to their website, checked it out, and looked at some photos of some past pictures and that kind of thing. And it kind of reminds me of a boarding school I attended years ago when I was in high school. It's very much set up that way, extremely expensive. And my parents were able to pay for it with the job that my dad had. But still, kind of the same traditions and candle walks and things like that. Very expensive though. This is outrageously expensive. I found out it was over $4,000, just over $4,000 per month per camper. I mean, these are wealthy people that are bringing their girls there, and they go every year, every summer they go. They've known each other for years. Some of these girls grew up together since second grade, because I think you can go there since, you know, once you're finished second grade. But yeah, you know, and they do a lot of activities and stuff, and they do have Bible studies and things, but I don't know if maybe, I don't know. We would like to hear from you. What do you think? Do you think it was kind of God getting people's attention? And it's not just them. The whole up and down the Guadalupe River, people were swept away. Their houses just went floating down the river. Their cars, people that were on vacation, people that live there. I mean, goodness, I don't know. Or is that just or is it just circumstance? I've heard of people saying that, well, that's just one of the things that happens, you know. So it'd be interesting to see what you all think on that matter. I'm one of those people, I immediately kind of jump to conclusions, and I think, okay, and I kind of talk to God, Lord, were you trying to get someone's attention down there? Like, you've forgotten about me, you've forgotten to worship me, as in me, God. Is this and then why so many people? I can understand maybe a handful of people dying, but that's a lot, and it's still rising. The death toll is still rising.
At the time of recording this is the 7th.
Right, and then, yeah, by the time it actually airs will be the 8th. So, yeah, it'll be 4 days after the fact. But we were told there's still going to be a lot of cleanup for several more days. It's going to take a long time for people to start all over again and because they're still searching for bodies. So yeah, but yeah, I was just watching some of the different heroic stories, people saving lives, people that were rescued, people that had lost loved ones, and how they're dealing with all that. And so they've been pretty strong. I'm kind of surprised no one's really broken down into hysterical crying. They've been very calm, cool, and collected. You know, maybe a few tears, but surprisingly have been able to tell their stories without, you know, getting too emotional about it. Let me say that. But yeah, I think were you gonna share another scripture, or did you already share it?
That's the one I had in mind.
The Psalm 46. Yeah. And I didn't mark the one in Luke, but it was something to the extent of that there will be earthquakes, there will be these things happening. That's all part of the end times coming. And some people think that we're already in the end times, and I think we're very close. Everybody has their different beliefs on that. But yeah, so mainly the question is God there? Is God there during catastrophes? Can we call on him and know that he's there right by our side, right in the moment? Or like this lady clinging to a tree. I don't know about her religious background, but you know, you just wonder, was she praying to God, or did it make her a believer? Like, okay, God, I don't know you at all, but I'm calling out to you now. I'll do whatever you want me to do. Just get me to safety, you know, things like that. You know, you just wonder what it does to someone's belief system. Yeah.
It would definitely make someone call out to something.
Right, yeah.
I don't even agree with the term atheist, because an atheist agrees with believing that there's nothing.
Right.
But that's still a religion. Everyone has, but I've heard the term, a God-shaped hole inside each person, and only he can fill it.
Yeah.
So no matter what your belief system, whatever you're watching, I pray that you know the Lord, because it's in times like those that you need God.
Right.
I mean, people will fail you. You can't always rely on people to comfort you, to save you. Only Jesus can save you. Ultimately, he can save your soul.
Yeah.
So, and I like what the footnote of my Bible says when it says God is a very present help in trouble. It says it means an abundantly available help. He comes to you in abundance. He's not just there in a day and then he's gone. Okay, help yourself kind of person. He's a merciful God.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
And that's the nice thing. I mean, it's not, this whole situation is not nice, but God can still bring about good and bad situations. It's all throughout Scripture.
Yeah.
Look at the book of Joseph. Look at lots of things that happened in the Bible.
Right. Like, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, there might be people who don't know Jesus, but this is the time where they can learn about him. Like Samaritans Purse is there right now, and they can, you know, the Samaritans Purse, they share the gospel. They don't just help you build your homes and things and help rescue. And there's churches that I hope are coming together. Texans are known, I think every state can say that for themselves. Texans are known to, when push comes to shove, kind of thing, you can just get the boots gone and you just get to work kind of thing. Right. Maybe your state's like that too, but I've heard that in my own state. And I've heard that Texans are coming together in this, and churches are helping each other. So I encourage you, before we end, if you feel led to, give what you can. Ask the churches, hey, how can we help these people? Where are they going to stay?
Right.
Some are, like Hurricane Lee, they needed food and water. They still do today. So maybe donate to Samaritans Purse. I think there's another organization called Cajun Navy, something. Just look around.
And we can have Mike put that, my husband, for those of you who are watching and don't know who Mike is, I can ask my husband to put those links of those various organizations in the description box and in the pinning part, because we noticed that not everybody looks at the description box. I know I don't always at different channels. I just get kind of lazy and don't want to do that. So we can understand. So we'll just pin that maybe if we can do it there. And then if you can't give anything at all, let's just say you are living on a tight budget or a fixed budget, fixed income, and you don't have a penny, or you don't have a penny to your name, that's okay. You can still pray. We can always pray for people. Pray for the families that know of their loved ones that have died. Pray for families that are still looking for their loved ones. And that's not just from Camp Mystic. That's also just people that were, you know, up and down the river for various things that they were there for. Yeah, and then we can pray for all the workers, both the ones that do it for, you know, all the emergency people. There's a lot of volunteers that just came out of nowhere. Pray for them, because that can be exhausting. And you know how people get like that. They want to keep working through the night and during the day, and then they're going to be so exhausted they won't be able to do anything anymore. So pray that they get some sleep.
And it's dangerous work too, so
right,
pray for their safety.
Exactly, because I mean, I saw a picture of an RV camper. It was unnoticeable. It didn't even look like an RV camper that was wrapped around, like shredded around a tree stump, and it had the sharp edges of all the, you know, metal and stuff all around. So that is dangerous to, you know, have the proper equipment if you're going to go out there. I'm sure there's people that will give you the proper equipment, proper gloves, proper clothing, proper equipment, and watch where you're stepping, proper shoes. Yeah, so there's different ways that we can help. We can help financially, we can help actually being there as a volunteer, and we can, if you're able. And if you can't do any of those, then prayer, of course, is a very strong weapon. We can definitely pray for these people, everybody involved. So yeah, am I leaving anything out? Are we leaving anything out? Or
I think that's all we had to share.
So we're sorry it was kind of on a sad note, but that's a very big thing going on right now, and it's made not only national headlines, but it's made world headlines. I know that it has made the world headlines of this catastrophe in central Texas, the flooding, and all that's, you know, all that entails. So yeah, so I'm gonna have Valentine say the famous words to end this talk. Yeah.
Well, be sure to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. I know that lots of you have been saying that we don't get the notifications. I never know when a post is coming up. All I can say is just know that, Lord willing, we do post every day. As far as posts are concerned, we have been doing a lot more recently, so check in every couple of days to make sure that you're not missing any updates. Because we also put prayer requests sometimes in the updates to post, so just check in every now and then.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, thank you to all your support and your prayers for our family too, especially with my dad's oral surgery that went on. Thank you so much for that. Please continue to pray for him, because he is still struggling with nerve pain in general.
Right.
And if you would pray for my mom's feet condition, I think by the time you watch this, no, she would have not gone yet.
Not yet, right.
So the day after you watch this, she will have a follow-up appointment, and then the next day after that, a podiatrist appointment.
Lots of doctor's appointments.
So yeah, please pray for my parents.
Poor Val.
Pray for my parents. Pray for each other. We have a lot of people in the comments who are hurting people.
Yeah.
And pray for the victims in Texas, if you would.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, and if you have any prayer requests, please leave them down below or send us an email.
Send an email, right. Yeah.
Okay. We hope that you have a blessed day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.